Hi guys, welcome back. It's Tommy with yet another Starcraft Remastered replay cast, as we have a very interesting engagement here in between the two pro players and one female pro player we have here spawning in the low left in the purple. It is CADENZIE from the United States of America, but I believe she's currently living in Korea, from which she's also training for the upcoming tournaments and also streaming, I believe. So yeah, quite a talented Zerg player we have here, and her opponent spawning here in the upper right in the teal. It is DTQ. So this is a South Korean, I believe, with his AK here. Quite an interesting matchup here indeed on Circuit Breakers, a 4 spawning location map. So let's just see what exactly their build orders are going to be. We have DT, I'm just gonna call him DT here, opening up pretty standardly with his pylon here next to his mineral line. He very likely will continue with a gateway next to his pylon, so no intentions for him to go for a fast expansion build order, building this pylon here next to his base. Let's check CADENZIE. She's just going for the overload, droning up a little bit more and actually going for a spawning pool first, so no fast expansion build order for her, as she's going straight into spawning pool. Perhaps she wishes to be early aggressive versus the opponent, as we see now also the Protoss moving out with the probe. A very early scout indeed for him, as he's also going for his gateways here. So same can be said here for the Protoss. He also might try to be aggressive early on. And yeah, let's just see, as CADENZIE is also now moving out with the second overload, the first one already reaching the point of the expansion base, as we see also CADENZIE move out with the drone to around the 1 minute mark, 1 minute and 50 second mark here. So the spawning pool is about to get finished. No extractor by CADENZIE, as she is now finally going for her expansion at around the 2 minute and 5 second mark. We have actually a second gateway here for the Protoss, so he might try to be aggressive early on versus CADENZIE. He might even try to send out some zealots early on. Could be pretty deadly against the Zerg player, even though the zealots would have no speed upgrade. So the first zealot is out, second one are getting produced. Lots of workers for the Protoss, 40 versus the 12 here for CADENZIE. And the first Zerg is also moving out, allowing here the probe to come forward. There's the gas, sees the spawning pool, sees a couple of drones here, as CADENZIE still continues to scout the map. Actually, the drone is returning home, so CADENZIE knows exactly now where the opponent is hiding. And we might even see an interesting pylon here next to the gas, so this will perhaps give a small boost towards the mining units from the Protoss. Let's have a look what exactly the Protoss is up to. More zealots are moving out. Actually, one zealot is going to make it here forward towards the base, and it's a interesting macro hatch here for CADENZIE. Quite interesting that she went for another hatchery, perhaps a misclick, perhaps she just wanted to save a drone, but I believe the money needs to be invested into some sunkens very soon, as there's 3 zealots onto the field and they're approaching slowly but steadily here towards the expansion point. So the macro hatch still continues to be placed. There is the sunken colony about to get finished very soon for the Zerg, as even some Zerglings are here to protect it. So I believe CADENZIE should be fine. There's 3 zealots, one is already hurt. The Zerglings will of course fall here. A great micro by the Protoss, but in the end more and more is getting lost. He actually a really good micro by the Protoss, and he is able to kill so many Zerglings. In the end the sunkens will of course hold the Protoss back, and the hatchery still continues here to be finished by CADENZIE. No tier 2 upgrade for her, straight into hatchery, so she might go for mass Zerglings very soon to attack the Protoss, as the Protoss is still going for those zealots, and he's now going for his cybernetic core, so we might see some dragoons very soon. And there's the hatch with more Zerglings getting produced. Speed is being done for the Zerglings, so CADENZIE looking really strong. As slowly but steadily we close in towards the 5 minute mark, and still some more zealots are actually moving here forward. Quite a risky move. One drone immediately getting killed. The Zerglings also taking some damage. Sunken also takes some damage here, but more and more Zerglings are getting spawned for CADENZIE, so she should be fine. So very aggressive early gameplay here by the Protoss, really wanting to punch forward. But yeah, the Sunken's even going to heal some HP slowly but steadily. Subturn Tentacle with 40 damage for the Sunken versus the 60 damage of the zealots, and CADENZIE might try to go for a surround, but it's still 3 zealots and 2 zealots here to block the ramp, so we might see a transition very soon by the Protoss into some different units. We might even see him go for a starport. Yes, indeed, there it is. Actually, double Stargate by him. So he really wants to snap more and more of those overlords in the air. We even see a forge by him as things have finally settled down a little bit, and in comes the move out by CADENZIE. I believe she even was able to snipe the 2 remaining zealots, and now she's moving forward towards the ramp where 2 zealots are guarding it. No expansion, interesting enough, here for the Protoss. Speed has been done by the Zerglings, and this could be quite deadly against the Protoss. Not all of the Zerglings will be able to attack, but in the end, luckily here for the Protoss, 2 more zealots are getting spawned, and with that I believe he should be able to hold. One is getting killed, and some Zerglings do make it here forward, so some probes might get sniped as speed is of course being done, so the probes have to fight for their life. One Zergling has been killed, second one also taking some damage. One probe has been also killed, and we have the first Corsairs out on the map. In the end the Zerglings will be killed, but yeah, quite a strong move out here by CADENZIE, as she's going to be able to lose some of her overlords, and she had to transition into a Hydrus den just in order to give protection towards all of those overlords. As we also see a Templar archive here by the Protoss, so interesting game here by the Protoss, but still no expansion for him. Quite worrying as we close slowly but steadily towards the 10-minute mark. This could be quite bad for him, for his economy. He is also having 22 workers versus the 20 already here for CADENZIE, and CADENZIE might even try to reach for another expansion as the first Corsairs are now moving forward to snipe some overlords in the air. The Atlas will of course guard them, so it's going to be quite hard for the Protoss to go into more units. Let's see, it's just checking the tier 2 upgrade. It could be also a transition by CADENZIE towards some Mutalisk. It could be a transition towards some Lurkers, and an interesting move out here by the Protoss, losing one Corsair immediately, taking some damage there, and yeah, upgrade for the speed is being done. More and more Hydralisks are being done here for CADENZIE, so she might try a push out very soon with some Hydralisk, with some overlords towards this location. Lots of Hydras indeed for her, and more are coming, and even spines are getting produced. We actually have some DTs getting produced here for the Protoss. There's so many overlords in the air, so it's going to be quite hard for him to move out. There's the Templar archive, so let's see if he's going to be lucky somehow to bypass all of the overlords here, perhaps with a shuttle into this location, as CADENZIE is looking like she's going to move out. She's going to try to snap this one Corsair. The Protoss reacting pretty nicely, and some overlords actually are being left behind, so CADENZIE pretty much throwing everything she has towards the Protoss, and the Protoss immediately reacting with some cannons and having some zealots in the front, so he should be okay versus the push out. In the meantime, the Corsair stays back, tries of course to punch more of those units, and now in come the Hydralisk, but of course there are 4 zealots here, lots and lots of cannons, and even DTs here for the Protoss. So the Protoss might try to snap all of the Hydralisk, as sadly here for her the overlords haven't arrived yet, so some damage will be taken by those Hydralisk, and yeah, she has to out micro the DTs. The overlords finally do make it here forward. The TT is going to get sniped. Pretty good stuff by CADENZIE. Nice upgrade by her, but we do also have High Templars with Storms. Is she going to commit here forward? Not that many Hydralisk here, as she's going for the first cannon, sniping that, but taking so much damage out of the Zealots and even the DT, so the Hydralisk are dropping lower and lower. Second cannon also getting taken out, but CADENZIE has lost so many Hydralisk here. Perhaps we will wait for those upgrades for the overlords in order to do a drop into this location. No cannons here into the main from the Protoss, so she can literally bypass all of those cannons here. Could be a wise move by her, as she's also taking this expansion, and at the same time reinforcements are pulling forward for CADENZIE, so quite an aggressive timing push by her. But it's going to be very hard, especially with those High Templars in the back. And let's just see what her decision is going to be, as more and more Hydras do arrive, but lots and lots of cannons do finish here for the Protoss, and only 3 Zealots are guarding now the cannons, and actually only 1 pylon here for the Protoss. So this pylon could be sniped 300 to 300. Instead of going for the cannons, she might try to take out the pylon in order to on power, everything here for the Protoss. Let's see, is she going for a drop? Not yet. And let's check the main from the Protoss as he's going into more and more gateway units. And at the same time, interesting enough, abandoning here this position. So CADENZIE close by. Is she going to commit forward? Let's see. Or is she going to perhaps wait for some Zerglings in order to attack very, very soon? In the meantime, she's also taking another expansion. So very great macro game by her. As the Overlord is going to take more and more damage. So the Protoss going into more gateway units. Pretty much under siege here by CADENZIE with all of those Hydralisks. Let's check the main once again here for CADENZIE, going for some upgrades. Check the expansion here. We actually have a Spire, perhaps for some Scourges. Perhaps she will go for some Mutilisks. Would be very interesting to see some Mutilisks as the main is pretty much unguarded here. Only one cannon for the Protoss. And things have settled down a little bit as we see the Zerg continue here with her siege. But yeah, the Protoss not reacting, only those cannons. He should be okay with the High Templars, of course. Strong unit against any ground units from the Zerg. Great map control here by CADENZIE. She's moving out with those Overlords. And yeah, let's see how things will continue as the gateways have finished here for the Protoss. Is he going to also try to move out very soon? He's adding some Dragoons towards his army. And more Zealots are of course needed by him as CADENZIE has finished the expansion here. So let's see who's going to be the one first attacking. I believe slowly but steadily the Protoss, adding more and more upgrades, adding more and more units. Very soon he might be able to move out and kill those Hydralisks very soon with the Zealots in the front, the Dragoons in the back. And let's not forget those High Templars also getting more and more energies. Needs to be careful here with his Dragoons. And you can see on the minimap a great control by CADENZIE, having so much vision, checking all of those expansions, seeing of course pretty much all of the map. So her macro game is looking very, very strong. And indeed she went for some Mutalisk. So let's see if she's going to try a double attack into the main and into the expansion point. What exactly those Mutalisk will be good for, as she might even try to move them into this location where the cannons can't reach them. So let's see how many Mutalisk does she has. 8 Mutalisk. She might also try to go for the main. A very strong move by her. Still hiding her Mutalisk, perhaps waiting for more and more Mutalisk and for more lurkers. In the meantime, the Protoss is slowly but steadily moving here out. I believe he also wants to expand, but at the same time he's waiting for another attack here by CADENZIE. And yeah, CADENZIE pretty much on the retreat now, with the even with the Mutalisk, as the Protoss is now moving out. So CADENZIE allowing here the Protoss to move back. And with that, I believe the Protoss might take his other expansion very soon, as CADENZIE decided to move back towards the newly established base and just guard all of that. And let's see, the Mutalisk taking some damage out of the Corsairs. Perhaps some Corsairs did damage those Mutalisk. And let's see what she's going to be able to do with all of those Mutalisk. Is the Protoss reacting with some cannons perhaps into the main? No such thing yet, as CADENZIE also regrouping her forces into the center, but quite a scary Protoss movie here, moving out with the Zealots, with the Dragoons. We might see an engagement. The Mutalisk actually are there to snap those High Templars, but already great damage been taken here by those Mutalisk. They go straight towards the High Templars. Great spread here, but nice storms by the Protoss as more and more is being taken out here from the Zerg. The Zerg pretty much melting against all of those High Templar storms. Great storms indeed, and even the Mutalisk have fallen here. So what a bait engagement here for CADENZIE, losing so many units, especially thanks to those storms by the Protoss. And yeah, now more and more is getting thrown out by CADENZIE. Is she somehow going to be able to kill the remaining units? Some lurkers have joined the army, so that's very good for her. More and more splash damage. This will of course force TT to come back, and yeah, more and more damage is being taken. There is an observer in the air, so there is detection against lurkers. A great micro here with those Dragoons by the Protoss. And yeah, sadly here for CADENZIE, losing lots and lots of units thanks to those storms. So those Mutalisk, if you ask me, would have been much better here into the main. The Hydralisk with the lurkers would have been fine for her, but yeah, in the end she has lost quite a large number of units. Still having more workers than the Protoss, and the Protoss still not having the second expansion point. So that's good news for CADENZIE, as she's now moving out with the lurkers, with the Hydralisk, getting flanked however, so she needs to be careful. And yeah, I believe she's just pretty much going to try to stop the expansion here from the Protoss, as more and more damage is being taken by the Overlord here. So in the end, CADENZIE arriving here towards the expansion point, being able to shut this one down, so quite a strong move by her, as the Protoss is now moving out, but he might get surrounded by all of the units here from CADENZIE. There's units here, there's units on the high ground with lurkers, so interesting move out here by the Protoss. And it's just Dragoons, no Zealots for him. So let's see where this is going to be able to take him, as CADENZIE pretty much on hold position with some units here, just to not allow the Protoss to gain the economic advantage. And now more and more of those Hydras are here with 1-1 upgrades. We even see CADENZIE go for some Sunken, so lots and lots of units here indeed for the Zerg versus massive amounts of Dragoons only here for the Protoss. I believe he was just checking the expansion points here for CADENZIE. At the same time he's going to try to kill, of course, all of the remaining Hydralisk here for CADENZIE. In the meantime, some lurkers actually pretty much exposed, so CADENZIE perhaps with a small mistake, losing one lurker after the other, so a little bit of a mistake here by her. Finally trying to drop those lurkers, but there is an observer in the air, so a great move by the Protoss, as those Dragoons are really tanky on the high ground. CADENZIE is moving everything she has forward, but a much better position here for the Protoss, as CADENZIE pretty much suiciding all of those Hydralisks, so a little bit of a mistake by her. Finally she is moving more and more forward, but all of those Dragoons hold their ground, dealing more and more damage, and the Corsairs are taking out a couple of Overlords. So CADENZIE perhaps with a very bad move out here by her, losing more and more of her units, sadly for her, as the Protoss pretty much punishing here this early move out, even casting Storms. So what a great comeback all of a sudden here by the Protoss. After an impatient move by CADENZIE, she has lost quite a lot of units. She still has many Hydras, but in the end the Protoss with some great sniping dropped her to 80 supply, and at the same time he's going to try to expand here. So what exactly is the next move? Perhaps some drop would be great in here into the main. It's going to take quite some time for the Protoss to come back at home to defend. In the meantime, some cannons do get added here by the Protoss, as slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 20-minute mark. So a great comeback here by the Protoss, but he's still behind onto the economy. You can see him only having 37 workers here versus CADENZIE, who has 54. But still those Storms are so deadly, and yeah, unit after unit is getting sniped here for the Protoss. The Zerg is doing quite some great damage here towards the units, but in the end the Protoss with some more and more backups moving here forward, sniping Hydra after Hydra, also taking some damage, but still those Hydras now finally will be pushed back with the Storms. And let's see what the next steps are going to be. Is CADENZIE still going to continue like this, as all of a sudden she now has more supply than the opponent, and her economy with the macro hatches will be able for her to produce more and more units. Some lurkers here on idle, perhaps she forgot about them as they're pretty much behind, perhaps to give more protection towards the expansions, and more units are getting spawned here by CADENZIE. Perhaps small mistake with a bad rally, but of course mistakes do happen as the siege continues here with some Hydras. Great reaction by the Protoss, pretty much melting all of those Hydralisk, and more and more is getting thrown out here by CADENZIE. She has so many units, finally she's microing them correctly, and even the lurkers are getting brought here forward. So nice regroup by her. Still more and more units are getting produced here by her, as her economy looking really strong, having so many hatcheries all over the place, and now the lurkers have arrived here forward. So we're closing towards the end of the game, even taking the expansion right here. Is this going to be the final push by CADENZIE, or is the Protoss going to hold, as in comes the attack with Hydralisk, with lurkers in the back. Great storm once again, very hard to out micro, and the cannons have fallen here, so the Protoss lacking behind cannons, and now the Archons really dealing great splash damage. Great high temper storms once again, but still more and more units are getting thrown out here by CADENZIE, as the Archons will be very strong against those Hydralisk. And yet another storm versus the units here from CADENZIE, but she still has 100 supply. She has 62 workers, so pretty much double amount of workers for CADENZIE, as more and more of the swarm is getting thrown out here by her. More and more units do hatch from the macro hatcheries here, and perhaps a bad rally here for her. Maybe better rally here into the middle of the map, as she's also gathering minerals from this location. Let's see where she's going to attack, or if she's going to attack. The Protoss pretty much under siege, not having so many units. Still some High Templars are around, some Zealots have been added as the High Risk once again move forward here for CADENZIE, and she's going to try once again to snipe the expansion here from the opponent. As in come the High Risk going straight for those cannons, snapping them really fast, and finally in comes the Protoss, but his expansion once again under siege, in a very good position here for the Zerg. This time there are no High Temper Storms available for the Protoss. Great spread here by CADENZIE as she's snapping unit after unit, and in the end it's going to be very hard for the Protoss, I believe, to come back here, as reinforcements also have arrived for the Zerg. And yeah, in comes the attack. There is a High Templar with some storms, but yeah, the Protoss losing more and more units. Finally a pretty good storm, but still reinforcements are there for CADENZIE, and she's looking really strong, even adding some cocoons here in the front with lurkers to give more tankiness towards her army. Another good storm by the Protoss, but in the end a great micro by CADENZIE, and I believe with that she might have done it. The reinforcements do arrive. There are some High Templars here, but yeah, as soon as those lurker eggs will finish, the workers here are pretty much in danger by the Protoss, so he losing more and more units with the lurkers here. I believe CADENZIE might have done it. A great storm in the end, but now the lurkers nicely getting spreaded here by CADENZIE, and there's the GG of course. So a great game here by CADENZIE, and perhaps the Protoss has waited way too much here with his expansion, and in the end CADENZIE just pretty much expanding all over the map, adding more and more of those macro hatcheries here for her, and just kept on sending wave after wave of units here versus the Protoss. A good reaction by the Protoss with the High Templars, but in the end his second expansion, this one right here, was very late. His first one was also very late, so this has pretty much allowed the Zerg, allowed CADENZIE to have lots and lots of workers. Look at that, 61 workers already for her. A great game indeed by her. Let's just check the stats very quick, as I'm going to be clicking once again left and right. A very good game by both players, but yeah, a very nice macro game by CADENZIE, punishing the late expansions from her opponent, and in the end not even the High Templars were good to save the Protoss into this game. So yeah, very good game by CADENZIE with some small mistakes with the rally there. Perhaps the rally into the middle of the map would have been better, but yeah, in the end a great game. Nice game by both players. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Tommy signing out.